Welcome to Machine Minds, where technology and humanity meet. I'm your host, Greg Terrusian, founder of Samson Rose, a recruiting and search business focused on the robotics and AI industries. The Machine Minds show is where we dive deep into the intricate world of robotics and artificial intelligence. As a staffing industry leader with a passion for the frontiers of technology, I'm pleased to be bringing you intimate conversations with the founders, investors, and trailblazers who are at the heart of the AI and robotics revolution. In each episode, we dig into their journeys, the applications of the products they're working on, and the breakthroughs that are shaping our future. Join us as we explore how these machine minds are transforming the way we live, work, and understand our world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a tech enthusiast, or just curious about this amazing field, you'll learn something new with each episode. Let's delve into the extraordinary. Let's delve into Machine Minds. Hello and welcome to the Machine Minds show. I'm your host, Greg Terrusian, and on today's episode, I'm joined by Carl Landrum, VP of Civilian Programs and Strategy from Dedrone. Thanks for joining me, Carl.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here, Greg. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad we could get you on so quickly. So Dedrone, they're a drone detection and mitigation company. Very cool technology, very interesting application. But really I want to jump in here first and find out more about you, Carl, because you spent decades in law enforcement and the federal government, and this is a very unique episode for everyone. Carl's only been in the industry, well, not in the industry, but on the technical side for like the last 90 days or so. So I really want to find out more about your background first for the listeners, and then how you came to be with Dedrone.
So a little bit about me. I came into the federal government in 1996 and started with the U.S. Border Patrol and spent 27 years working in law enforcement throughout a Border Patrol career. But the only thing I did differently is right after 9/11 for a couple of years, I transitioned over and I worked as a federal air marshal following the events of 9/11. So got a little bit of aviation experience on that side, still within that federal law enforcement realm. Came back to the Border Patrol, continued my career, Greg, all the way to retirement in February of this year, where I retired as the Chief Patrol Agent of the Laredo sector for the U.S. Border Patrol within the federal government's Department of Homeland Security.
That's a very impressive background, and congratulations on the retirement. So,
thank you.
Yeah, so you've made this recent jump, and I've spoken to tons of people in my career, and normally that transition from whether it's federal government, military, whatever it may be, into, shall we call it commercial or industry, isn't always the smoothest. And normally there's quite a gap. So how did you seamlessly, it seems like, make that transition? And then if you can tell us a bit more about your role with the civilian programs and strategy.
Sure, absolutely. When I retired, I think I knew I was going to be doing something, didn't know exactly what that was going to be. I didn't have a plan in place. I just figured it would work out and I would end up where I was supposed to be. And so, a lot of people, when in my position, when they retire, they end up and doing different types of contracting work, all kinds of opportunities that are available out there. And I was following that same path. And while I was doing that, before I get to the introduction to Dedrone, I will say, over the past 10 years, as a Border Patrol agent, actually working on the southwest border in the United States, I've seen the use of drones, both in good ways and in bad ways, being used in illicit manners, whether that's, surveillance, counter surveillance, whether that's guiding groups of individuals that are illegally entering the country. It could be actual delivery of narcotics via payload from the drone. So I've seen all of that in that maturation process, on the border over the past decade. Something I was very interested in, both as a deputy chief out in Arizona and then coming here to Texas in the actual chief role of a sector. Something I was very interested in and really within the agency really pushed very hard on investments in technology to be able to both detect and defeat these instruments that were being utilized against us on the border. So it wasn't like I was just doing one thing and then just and swung completely into this other field. I was very interested in it, and I was a big proponent of, pushing that technology over the past decade within the government. So it was really kind of a natural fit to end up where I'm at in Dedrone. A couple of weeks after retirement, I had the opportunity of meeting Aditya Diavorakanda, who is our CEO of Dedrone. So we all call him AD. So if I speak about him, I'll probably refer to him as AD. I think that's his preferred acronym, and it's definitely easier for at least me to pronounce.
Yeah.
Just calling him AD. So through a mutual friend, I had the opportunity to meet AD. And at that time, I was looking for opportunities, which he was aware of that, and we were able to work it out. And over the following month following that, I came on to Dedrone. He brought me on board into my current role as vice president over civilian programs and strategy, and trying to add as much value to Dedrone, which is really and initially the way Dedrone began, as a typical Silicon Valley startup software stack, company, and driving that forward to where it is today. I think AD plus all of the other staff, that work in Dedrone really throughout the world is truly just amazing. The work product that they've been able to pull together and position that company where it is today. So truly amazing. And I'm certainly happy to be a part of it.
Love to hear it. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great to hear, you were a fan or a big proponent for this type of technology in the application that you were with the government previously. And when you talk to people, general public, and we talked a bit about this offline, it's always hard for people who aren't in the space to realize or even identify use cases for robotics, AI, anything autonomous or drones or whatever it may be. If they aren't aware of the technology, it sometimes still seems a little bit sci-fi to people. So when you're talking about, in the community that I live, there's been malicious uses of drones by certain mafia type people looking to break into houses. And that's like on a very residential level. So you can only
Sure.
imagine when it comes to borders and trafficking and all of this other stuff. So it's crazy when you think
Yeah,
about it.
if you think about all the good ways that technology's utilized out there, how it improves our lives, everything that technology does across the board, you have to be able to actually see the inverse of that and know that there are people that are trying to utilize it in illicit ways to their advantage in the exact same way. So you can't look at it as all good or all bad.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of all of that, and being able to protect yourself, whether you're an individual or a company or a government, being able to protect yourself is really what it's about when it comes to the uses of all of these different types of technologies.
That's a great point. That is a really great point. I think that's universal across all of these different technologies that we speak about. So jumping more into Dedrone as a whole, can you give us an overview of their mission and their focus? And obviously, when we go past that, their technology, because I know there's different offerings within the company.
Right. So broad overview of what it is that we do at Dedrone. I'll talk about it from myself as somebody who used to buy this technology, these types of technologies in the field for real world application, on behalf of the U.S. government. So somebody that used to do that. We all know that this space is not cheap. So it is expensive, and it is expensive to keep up, and that these life cycles, rapidly evolve, which generally mean there's a lot more investment required as time goes on to be able to keep up with the technology. So one of the things at Dedrone that we do not want is we do not want to tell any client, any place, anywhere, you can't use everything you already have. So all of your investment, your multi-million dollar investments that you've been putting in year after year after year for the past few years, you cannot use that. That's something we never want to say. So what we do in Dedrone is we're very, very good at sensor fusion. is what we're really good at, whether it's our sensor or any other, competitor or partners sensors that are out there. Everybody's, trying to work in that particular space and develop products to help, people and companies and governments, around the world. And so what I want to do is I want to be able to pull all of that prior sensor technology that somebody actually possesses, ingest all of that information into our actual sensor fusion and our tracker, our particular C2, Dedrone tracker, ingest all of that information into one particular software stack, utilize, AI, ML to run through all of that data on behalf of the customer. And then on the back end of that, after all the inputs are ingested and all the decisions that need to be made about that information autonomously occur, then provide the customer on the back end particular options are about what they could do about it. So in broad, overview, I want to bring in everybody's sensor data into our sensor fusion capability, be able to make autonomous decisions about that data, present whether or not that is a friend or a foe, whether that thing that is out there is a threat in any kind of way. And if it is a threat, these are, the mitigation capabilities that that particular customer not only has access to, but also has the authority to utilize. So I want to be able to pull all of that data into one single pane of glass for that end user. Because I've been the guy out there in the field, and when you're the guy that's out there in the field and you see something and you need to make, that decision in the next few seconds of what you're going to do about it, you want that to be as easy as possible. So from Dedrone's perspective, if I can make that easy for that individual to be able to do that literally on that laptop or that particular cell phone he's on, that one single pane of glass he's working on, where he can see all the data and actually act upon it in one screen, that's what I want to do. And at Dedrone, that's the product we're trying to pull together for really any customer worldwide.
That's really cool. I was actually going to ask what that kind of timeline is. When you identify something, especially, I'm not sure if you have eyes on it the whole time or if it tends to be like you said, a couple of seconds or, you have a few minutes to make that decision. But I guess it depends on what the threat is or what the use case, quote unquote, of that drone might be.
It could be completely different because you could be trying to protect your home and your family, and you may be looking at a problem set one way, or you also could be a military soldier at a FOB in the middle of nowhere, and your problem set could be completely different. So it, really depends on what the end user is trying to achieve. But when it comes to things like when you identify something that is potentially a threat, hopefully have some AI go in and determine, yes, it is, and elevate that threat for you in a matter of milliseconds instead of the amount of time it would take you to do it. Be able to calculate things in like TDOA and time distance of arrival, like where that particular object is at this very moment and how many seconds you have until that object is on top of you. It's one thing if it's a camera taking 4K pictures. It's a completely different thing if it's, an airborne IED that is actually meant to cause harm to people. So two entirely different situations, and the use case, like you said, really matters in what you're trying to achieve. Either way, from Dedrone's perspective, I want to do that for you in milliseconds instead of, a longer period of time that could be dangerous to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really eye-opening to hear it from your side as well, because you've obviously been there, like you said, on the other side of the table, buying this technology, utilizing this technology, and probably seeing it from every different angle that the general public have no idea about.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the key challenges faced in drone defense, probably from both sides, right? From the technology side that you're seeing now, or I know that you're obviously still learning, like we were talking about offline. It's still been a few months and there's so much that your eyes are probably being open to on the technology side of things.
Sure.
But from both sides, but what are some of the key challenges faced in the space?
So it's interesting with the with all the different sensor applications. So how do you detect something, anything, no matter what it is, something that's actually flying in the air? How do you actually do that? There's a lot of different technologies out there. We try to bring in RF technology, whether it's admitting a particular broadcast signal, something that is actually saying what the ID of that object actually is, or even just emitting any kind of power signal of any kind. So any type of RF technology that's out there, if it's capable of decoding, which is a common industry term, if it's capable of decoding, great. If it's not, what else can I do with that particular information? Can I triangulate with several different sensors to help me identify the exact location of where that particular object is? Can I add more sensors here? Do I have radar capability capable of seeing that particular object and say, yes, a further point of confirmation that that particular object does exist in the air at that moment? And this might be a bird, it might be a 747, it might be, a drone just flying by the neighborhood. You don't know what it actually is yet. You're narrowing it down with these different pieces of technology, but you still need more. And one of the other things we do is I'll actually put camera on that particular item. So all of those things are occurring in milliseconds from a detection either through RF or radar or camera. And then it'll utilize the other pieces of technology to try to verify and validate what that object actually is. And then once the actual software stack is able to determine that, yes, that is something up there, this is everything I know about it, this is all the data I'm able to collect on it, from the RF signals, from the radar feedback, from the actual pictures that the camera is actually seeing of it, and then running all of those pieces of information through a library, being able to determine the exact protocol, what it's seeing, whether it's RF, radar, or camera, and then utilizing the actual image against an image library of 18 million photos, to try to say, yes, it is a drone. It's not a bird. It's not an airplane. And not only is it a drone, it's a drone of this make, and hopefully it's this model of drone. And I want to be able to do all of that, again, utilizing all those different, inputs of technology. But in reality, as the end user in the field, speaking on behalf of that guy, I want to be able to see it. I want to know, yes, that's a drone, or no, it's not. And if it is a drone, is it illicit? Does it have a payload of some kind, whether it's narcotics or something that might hurt me or others? I want to be able to do all of that, preferably from some distance away. And it takes a lot more than just one piece of the technology I laid out. It's pulling all of that technology into one single pane of glass for that person to be able to see all the data and then make an educated decision about what they're going to do about it, from one pane of glass, and not having to switch through app to app or panel to panel or this computer to that computer, because I've seen it all in the field before. And if I can make that as simple as somebody can do all that right on their cell phone, then perfect. That's really the way to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like a real challenge to overcome, right? That, especially when we're talking about time being of the essence, and having all of those different sensors, all those different inputs to help you identify what it is it a threat, where it's going, what could be the potential use for it. I think as general population, probably the closest we've had to that recently is those balloons flying over the US and that overtaking the news, right? Where if there was, or if we had a different kind of identification process in that respect. I mean, that's obviously probably not something you see every day in terms of drones or anything.
I hope we don't see it every day.
Yeah, right. So let's talk a bit before we round this out in terms of like future developments for you guys and the space in general? What's the vision for the future? Obviously, refining this offering and this one pane of glass,
Right.
giving you the ability for the identification. But how do you see this evolving and really giving the end users what they need?
Right. So a couple of different things about that, and I really want to break that up into two parts. So one thing, just to finish a final thought on the last thing I was talking about, is the autonomous nature of it. That is really something that, if you're an individual, end user, or you're all the way up to a government, that is something you're really seeking. You really want that autonomous, bringing in all that data, looking at all those different data points, have all that happen autonomously. And we often refer to that as, instead of, like having a soldier in the loop, right? We want to refer to that as a soldier on the loop. So I don't have to have that soldier in there. The software stack can do every bit of it, can do every bit of this detection, can bring in all the other different sensor capabilities, slew the camera, utilize the radar. All of that to happen autonomously is something that you really want to achieve. Some different ways that has happened so far within Dedrone, some different things that we're actually doing is we install all of that stuff at a fixed site. We can do it at a fixed site, like an airport or a private business or a particular government facility, those types of things. We also offer a program that's actually called Citywide. So we sell this program to a lot of cities throughout the United States and Europe right now, where if they want to be able to see this detection and be able to do all of this, they can do this within their city, at a reasonable cost to actually get that particular part done. We also have a program called Rapid Response, which is really all of this capability on a trailer. That is utilized mostly in a mobile fashion if I need to move it around and move something around quickly. But you can also think of it as, large public gatherings, big events, the Super Bowl. I can tell you, 6 weeks ago at the NFL draft in Kansas City, we were there with that product, helping DHS and the FBI secure that particular airspace, with that particular product, using our software stack, our Dedrone tracker, and pulling all of that information together on behalf of law enforcement there. So one capable way of doing that. Another thing is one of our latest products that we just came out with is Dedrone Tactical. And what Tactical is, Greg, is it's two different tripod solutions. And one solution on one particular tripod is an RF solution. So it's all the different RF capabilities that somebody would need to, receive a signal that actually identifies what the product is. So decoding, triangulate a signal if that actually needed to happen, if decoding was not available, and mitigation. So whatever form of mitigation that an entity has access to is all on that particular tower, so they can see all that information. And if that's enough for you, then you only need the one tower. But if you want more, if you want to also include radar, camera, the other two parts that I was talking about, then you actually need the expanded kit, which is tripod 2, that carries all of that other equipment. Again, all of this works together, across the board. So no matter which solution I just mentioned there, from a trailer to a fixed site to this tactical, which is really in Pelican cases, if you need to be able to move it, up and down stairwells and get it to particular places, that you need it, or up and down a hillside and get it to a place you actually need it, you can do it, in a fairly reasonable way. So there's a lot of different solutions out there available. For the future part of it, where you're talking about what does that actually look like? Obviously, we want to keep refining what we're doing, all right? I want to improve upon my sensor fusion capability. I want to constantly add new things that are being added out in the market space. So, whether it's, something that we just don't have integrated yet, or if it's something new that's actually brought into industry, I want to be able to add that so that a customer's not starting over. They're not having to start over, scrap what they had before and be able to move forward in the future. I think the other thing that is really important is to remember that no matter what technology you have out there, no matter what these pieces are, there's limitations to each and every one of them. There is no silver bullet. I haven't seen the silver bullet yet. I know everybody wants it, and if somebody ever produces it, it'll be a global seller, I guarantee you. But that does not exist. So we have to operate in the real world, and we have to operate with real world solutions. And so if I can do all of that by pulling everybody's solutions that are available into one pane of glass for that operator, keep improving upon that, keep improving upon those mitigation capabilities in the future, that's really where the future is and where we're actually going to. I think you're aware that the whole drone industry, normal, kid in a park flying drones, that is increasing, and we know that we know those numbers. That is a huge market, especially in the next few years. So these problem sets that we're talking about are things that within Dedrone we're constantly aware of. We're constantly watching visual flight over the horizon, being able to do that, VB loss, being able to do that over the horizon. The whole commercial industry is interested in being able to do that, whether you're a delivery company, or you sell pizzas. You want to be able to do this in the future, utilizing technology to fly that product to the end user and not have to have, somebody there within visual contact of that particular flight. Right. So these are all things that we are involved in and definitely trying to help with, on behalf of this government, but also governments around the world.
Amazing stuff. You guys are very busy. Very busy.
We are very busy. Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
I want to thank you for being on the show, Carl. Thank you so much. It's been really insightful, eye-opening, and great to hear from both sides of the fence, right? Your time with the federal government and Border Patrol, and then now on this side of it, the applications, the use cases, just your whole sense fusion technology, from a business perspective or like you're talking about, a city perspective. If you've already invested so much in technology, you don't want to scrap that to go with a new solution. Being able to tie them all in and make it more effective, faster, and user-friendly seems like a no-brainer, really. And I think from the general public's perspective, and I'll just speak for the general public because I consider myself there, but it's kind of reassuring hearing that your technology and your services are being used at large social gatherings and public events like sports and things like that. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for you guys. I'll be rooting for you from the sidelines, and I'm really excited to see where the company goes and the different applications that come in the future. I encourage the listeners to go and check out Dedrone's website. You can find Carl on LinkedIn, and more about their upcoming releases and products all on the website as well.
Absolutely. Dedrone.com, that's where they should go. I encourage them to go there. And once you're there, definitely interact with us. So we're very aware that the public is hungry and wants more information. And anywhere that we can help satisfy that need to anybody out there with information you're looking for, the company will definitely take that on and we'll try to get that information to you.
That's amazing. Thanks again, Carl. And everyone, keep a lookout for the future developments from Dedrone.
Thank you, Greg.